Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, I'm Lisa Bugs. I'm the coordinator of lifelong learning here at the Main Library. On behalf of the board and staff of the Jacksonville Public Library, welcome to Mapping Our Past. Now, I have a bit of housekeeping before we begin. Please turn your cell phones to silent. The restrooms are to your left, and the emergency exit is to the right. And in case of an emergency, you can follow the directions of library staff members. Now, this afternoon, with the help of 4 experts, we'll explore our past, present, and future through maps from a local, state, and national perspective. First, the library would like to thank Sybil Ansbacher for her generous support by bringing this event to the community. Second, if you have any questions for our speakers, please use the index cards, and if you need cards, raise your hand and we'll get some to you. Let's start our day of exploration and information with our first experts. Steve Williams is well known throughout the Jacksonville community as the CEO of MappingJax and an owner of Florida Mining Gallery and a hardcore advocate of the arts and development in the urban core. He will be co-presenting with Joe Karably, who's a filmmaker and the co-founder of the MappingJax project. Please welcome Steve Williams and Joe Karably.
Hello. How's everybody doing? I'm Steve Williams. I'm the CEO of MappingJax. I'm the owner of Florida Mining Gallery and a co-founder of the MappingJax project.
I'm Joe Karably, filmmaker, and been a filmmaker in the areas for about 10 years now, Jacksonville native, and also co-founder of the MappingJax project.
We love Jacksonville. Everybody loves Jacksonville, right? Who doesn't love Jacksonville here? We grew up in Jacksonville. I grew up in Arlington. I think Joe grew up in St. Augustine.
Jacksonville and St. Augustine.
Jacksonville, St. Augustine. We love the arts here. We love the history in Jacksonville. And we love small business here. We love everything about Jacksonville. And we don't see why it's not further along. So I have been complaining on Facebook for years about why can't we do better? Why are things not moving faster? And Joe called me on it and said, this is getting a little monotonous. We need to really do something. So we made a film. We started a project called MappingJax. We put this up online. It ended back up in Facebook. And we have a very quick, large following from the effort. The people in Jacksonville are confused. One day we're told there's a convention center coming and there's a huge development on the shipyards. And the next thing we know, buildings are being torn down where those things are happening and plans are being canceled. It couldn't be more confusing. I think the scariest part with seeing a building being torn down, any building being torn down, is the opportunity that was missed for a creative solution. I think Jacksonville has the most opportunity of any city in the United States. We need some guidelines or some type of map that we can all believe in and that we can all work toward, that developers can use to know what to develop where, what's coming, how are we going to live together, how are we going to look back and be proud of what we did, how we live, the kind of things we created together. How did we solve a problem through creativity? I don't want that to be tearing a building down. I want that to be us drawing a map. So we want to make sure it's really clear that we are not map makers at all.
Or historians.
We're also not historians, and we're not academics. We're artists, and we're marketers, and we are just citizens that want to speak out.
Yeah, the initial idea that I came to Steve with was I can talk. Can y'all hear me? Yeah. No? Okay, man, I guess I do need this. Sorry, my voice is going. The initial idea that I had come up with was to sort of do like a 10 to 15 minute short film, kind of encapsulating all of Steve's ideas, thoughts, philosophies, because he's been yapping for years on Facebook. Sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. And midway through the editing process, I kind of realized that, these would, at least what we had done so far, would work in really short increments, almost like political spots, which I know people have kind of immediately upon seeing this first one were like calling for you to run for mayor all of a sudden, which isn't what he's wanting to do yet.
No.
And so we we put out this first one, and it really took a lot of people by surprise. And rather than just continuing and putting out a big chunk, we released 3 more, sort of dealing with just very specific topics, and kind of in the process, it dawning on me as well as Steve of like, oh, well, this is what it needs to be. This is what it needs to kind of live as online, is kind of almost like a rallying cry or a drum beat, whatever you want to call it, for everybody to kind of take notice and get involved. Because me personally, I've grown up here my whole life, and I always thought that the city had more potential to sort of be more than what it is and what it sort of has become. We both kind of feel that like 2015, 2014, One Spark era of Jacksonville was like kind of getting there, and then it's obviously kind of tapered. And so I guess our sort of joint philosophy and idea is to continue to release content and begin to really get a good foundational base of you guys, and hearing and you all, and speaking to you all, and learning from you all. Is, you know, as a filmmaker, and particularly documentary filmmaker, I'm curious. I have a natural curiosity, and I want to learn. I want to know more about where I grew up. I spent 4 years working on a documentary film that aired on PBS a couple years ago. Called, I believe they eventually changed it to Secrets of Spanish Florida. It was narrated by Jimmy Smits. And that was extremely eye-opening for someone that grew up in St. Augustine, realizing like, this is essentially where America started. And we released this little documentary film, and we heard through the grapevine that we were making people up in Jamestown like furious because we were attacking their tourism dollars, and because they say, oh, this is, we're where America started. But it's like, no, like when everyone came over, when Plymouth Rock happened, there was already industry and civilization and a lot of culture down here, and it made me feel proud. It really made me feel proud. And so when Steve and I kind of agreed to kind of partake in this, it kind of got that fire in my belly again, about where I live. And that's kind of, if I had one like sole pursuit with this, I would say it's just kind of keeping that going.
Yeah, I think it's about our arts, our history, and our business, our small business here. When we made the video piece, it really didn't have an exact point. And then when we named it MappingJax, it just hit people from different places. So that was just our marketing brainstorming going on there. But it actually seemed to work. And it's got a lot of people behind it. And that's what we want to do, is hear from everyone. We want to make sure that the communities that don't really have voice have a better, stronger voice, and that people get more engaged. And honestly, the whole project has been just a love letter to our city. We want everyone to fall in love with Jacksonville like we have. We want those people who are getting rid of our history and tearing down our buildings to understand that we've all had experience in those buildings. We've, like City Hall and the old courthouse, we've all pulled permits in there. I started my career in there. I got my marriage license in those buildings, and all that story and history now for me personally is gone. I think the day that I called Joe and finally was okay with doing it, or I said, let's go, is the day that I drove around the corner and saw the City Hall building just gone. And I didn't cry, but I think I almost cried. I think I threw up maybe. And then the landing soon followed. And on the way here this morning, I'm driving down Riverside Avenue from Avondale, and the fire station's been torn down, leveled as of this morning. And it's just heartbreaking. And just the opportunity that's lost, the creative solution that could have been worked on. I mean, we've all of us have talked about it and screamed about it and
been upset about it, but no one seemed to listen. And that's what we're saying is we really want those creative solutions. We deserve them. I think we deserve them as a city. I think the areas of the arts, history, and small business are underserved in Jacksonville. Seems like they're not valued by the decision makers or I'm not sure exactly. We have a vision and a mission, but that's kind of changing as we speak. I mean, the group has been grassroots. We're very proud to have over 5,500 people on the Facebook page at this point. We've had a lot of engagement. We've worked very hard to get organized. That has not been easy for a bunch of artists. But we're working hard, and we hope to give back and serve the community. We have another piece that we can show you. This is a second piece, more focused on small business.
One of my favorite quotes is imagination is more important than knowledge. I think that's missed here in Jacksonville. I think what we go for is the knowledge. We act like we know what we're doing, and we miss the imagination or the inspiration. There's no incentives for development to bring people from the outside of Jacksonville with fresh ideas and innovative ideas to add to the texture that's being created right now. If you compare Jacksonville to Atlanta, you notice what's happening there is they're infilling and they're creating strategy around the inner part of the city, and they're starting there before they move out too fast. And then when they do move out too fast, they connect it with transportation. So it's easy to get around. You have a city like Chattanooga who's got only 170,000 residents right now compared to our 1.5 million. And their downtown is thriving. They have hotels coming from all over the world to open. They have coffee shops and breweries and restaurants. Austin, Texas, I believe, has a 90% success rate of their small business. These cities have personality and story and cultural attractiveness. They have artists that are being engaged by all kinds of people in the city. They have businesses that are being supported by the city. I think the solution here is more about small projects and small business and supporting artists than it is about bringing more large projects. We need the young creative people. We need the innovators. I propose that we get together and we build something unique and we keep it local and we push it over the top. In placemaking, if you have 10 things in one place to do, you have a place to go. I propose that we as citizens get together and help small businesses survive. I propose that we get together and we believe in ourselves. Who's with me? Excuse me, I think that's the main thing we want to say is, how do we love ourselves better? How do we appreciate ourselves better? How do we fall in love with our city? How do we go to the parks and what we do have and celebrate those things and have more of those things and have a voice to influence the decision makers or whoever's putting projects together? How do we have a voice that's larger that talks about our own history and tie that in with the arts and grow from there?
Yeah, to add to that, I've kind of always, and Steve and I may differ a little on this, but not really. But I mean, I've very much felt like, particularly with regard to how tourism has been marketed over the years for Jacksonville, that there's too much of an emphasis on, oh, well, we have the beaches and we have the Jaguars and there's marshes and there's a river and there's kind of a downtown. But there really has never been that much of an emphasis on the people here and the kind of restaurants and the sort of, even down towards St. Augustine. I mean, there's a huge culinary boom down there that has begun to kind of trickle up this way. And I think those sorts of things, when you highlight them, begin to paint a much more effective portrait of a city than, say, a football team or the beach or, things that, anyone in Florida could point out and say like, hey, we have this, Tampa has what we have, but yet they, I feel, are thriving much more than we are. And it's because I think they have a more foundational culture down there, which is crazy because I think our history here is way more fascinating. And I've always felt Jacksonville is much more about its people and its history. And that should sort of be what the focus is from a foundation standpoint of kind of building us up.
Yeah, we agree completely on that for sure. I know we're kind of early on the scene here to be finished, but does anybody have any questions? I don't know at what point of the program we're going to have the cards. Yes, sir.
What can we do to help?
I think right now we're trying to figure out the answer to that. But in the meantime, I know you're part of hashtag MappingJax on Facebook. We would encourage everybody to please go, join our effort, throw in. We try to keep the forum very positive. We try and keep it on the, we don't really want a lot of politics and a lot of negative talk, but it has come in a little bit. So please come in and help us influence everyone in a very positive way of we love Jacksonville kind of spirit. There's a website, mappingjax.com. Please sign up. There's committees that we're trying to form that you can sign up for on the website.
What is your Facebook page?
It's hashtag MappingJax. If you just type that in, all one word.
That's a public page.
It's a public page. You do have to join though and answer some questions.
What about transportation? We don't have any really good mass transit for bringing people into that. And I think, I'm sure all of us, or most of us, have driven our cars here today. And in light of the environmental ecology and all that stuff, how are you, what's your viewpoint for the transportation?
Well, the good news is there's lots of empty lots downtown that you can park in right now. She wanted to know where our stance was on public transportation. And I'd just like to repeat that we're not experts at all, certainly in transportation planning, but we're like you, we're just citizens that are frustrated with having a hard time getting around town. And we'd like to see a focus. We like the stuff that's happening in Brooklyn and La Villa with the transportation hub over there. We see some light at the end of the tunnel, but it doesn't seem fast enough. We agree.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to say that I think that the MappingJax Facebook page really provides an opportunity for those of us who've been active the last 30 years to tell our stories, because I realize folks will say, well, how about this? Or why don't we try that? And in fact, they are things that we've tried before, but nobody knows about them. And so I find for people like Stephen, for example, with his stories of what's gone on in the past, that any of you who have stories about the last 30 years, do put them on there and let us capture that information so that we can take advantage of it. Some of these ideas are coming around for the third or fourth time, but they are going to stick eventually, I'm sure. But
We absolutely, no, this doesn't work. Hello?
That works.
Hello? Does this work? We absolutely agree with this. And our intent from the very beginning was not to recreate the wheel ever and try to bring some organizations together instead of starting a new one and doing the whole thing over again. And we feel very strongly that the term limits and the mayoral administration is just wrong. And that's what we feel is kind of roadblocking some of the progress. Is every time there's a new administration, they need to make a name for themselves, of course, and then it gets sidetracked into another project.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because one of the things that really inspired me to kind of get on this was, my folks who were, they moved here in the late 70s, and they told me that their friends used to say the same exact things that I'm saying. It just seems to be kind of a circle, a never-ending cycle here. And I was kind of like, if there's anything that can be done to kind of break it, I think it could really make this place unique, wholly unto itself. And with the little short videos that I've been doing, one thing that I've been adamant about is I hope that it kind of serves as an inspiration just to, if you have an idea, if you feel like you have something to say, you can absolutely say it and get it out there and do your own thing. We've been very encouraging of other factions who have seen what we've done and have begun to talk about doing their own thing. This was just me with a camera and a lens and Steve and some free time. And so, any one of you and anyone in this city that wants to stand up and kind of do something about it can absolutely do so. I think there's a stigma that says otherwise, and I just don't buy it.
Yeah, I don't think we ever started out thinking we were going to solve all these problems, but we wanted to give some lift and some voice to those who want to solve problems and have better ideas and have good ideas and use our imagination. We want to encourage that more.
Thank Thank you. I just looked around and I happened to notice that, forgive me, but we're a pretty white audience. Have you partnered with anybody in Springfield to do a short video about the history, like with James Weldon Johnson and Zora Neale Hurston? There's a lot of fantastic history around the real Brits, the Gullah Geechee history. Have you done that yet?
No, not yet, but phase 2 of this project is absolutely to kind of branch out. We're done with the Steve talking to camera in front of a white psych.
Amen.
And we we very much want to get out in the community. We want to speak with small business owners, artists, community leaders from all walks in and around the urban core, and probably eventually beyond. And diversity is absolutely going to be a part of that because it's a part of our history.
And when I was talking about the group and how it was focused on positive comments, there's been a lot of diversity in the group, and we worked very hard to keep that diversity in there, even though there's a lot of contention, of course, in the city. So we're very sensitive to that. We love the idea of celebrating the diversity of Jacksonville, and we plan to do more. Absolutely.
Are there any more slides?
Any more questions?
Are there any more slides in the presentation?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
Let's find out. Oh, we got a question.
How do we? Oh yeah. There is. Sorry.
How do we get the youngsters involved? How do we get this generation and beyond coming up and getting involved in any capacity at all? What can they do? Because they care as well.
I think they're going to need to see the grown-ups pull up our big boy pants and do some of this work. I mean, I think they're going to need to see some buildings being saved and celebrating our history. And 2 of my kids have left Jacksonville, and and it makes me sick that we couldn't hold on to them, and it wasn't interesting enough. It wasn't good enough for them, and it wasn't satisfying their palate of all the things they wanted. So we have to.
This generation coming up, there are things they care.
Maddie, are you a member of our group?
No, but she
Does
just
sign
wanted
up.
to
Please sign her up. I think when the kids see some of us, absolutely. I think. Well, the website, you can sign up for committees, and we hope to soon have those meetings. But for the meantime, it is just in Facebook, honestly.
I'm not on social media. In regards to diversity, this is a very white room, but this is also a very able room. I know a lot of people have exceptionalities that can't be seen, but there are those that do have exceptionalities that can be seen. Austin is a wonderful place. I'm probably going to end up taking my son to Austin because of their wonderful school for the visually impaired and blind. A lot of people here are under the perception we have a wonderful school for blind and deaf children, and that is not correct. They have 12 criteria for non-acceptance, one being autism, and autism is a spectrum disorder. It's not always disruptive. It goes from very mild to a very severe condition, and I don't know how, I don't think many people are informed about this, but the leading cause of blindness now is suboptic dysplasia, and it presents itself with the comorbidity of autism as well. So there's no place for a lot of people. There's a wonderful organization run by an African-American female veteran named Making Strides for Autism, and she is trying to get more inclusion with local businesses and artists for people on the spectrum and adults, because our children become adults, and we need the community to be aware of their presence and how to integrate them better.
I would just encourage you to sign on to the website, maybe sign up, and we can try and create some awareness inside of our group of what you're talking about. I mean, our intention is to help connect groups and build awareness. That's really what at the core of what we're doing.
We live at the beaches, and on a very smaller scale, I think the Beaches Historical Society has done an admirable job of raising awareness, continuing interest in our local history at the beaches, and have even done some preservation. If anyone here hasn't been to the Beaches Museum, historical museum, it's quite educational, quite interesting, and raises a lot of awareness. It's a smaller scale, but one of the things that I think helps make it so effective is there are a lot of social, musical, and artistic elements to it.
That's wonderful. We have so many nice historical organizations, Jacksonville Historical Society, MOSH, the beaches, I think Mandarin has one, obviously St. Augustine. So it's really good. Thank you.
Hi, Steve. Are you familiar with the Jacksonville Historical Society Consortium?
I know about it, but
Well, I think somehow we can use software and we can connect MappingJax to that. And it's a wonderful way of unifying all these historical, cultural entities.
we've met with them, but we need to do more. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. We could use your help.
I think this is a great forum to look at the future, but would you consider also being a repository for not so much historical documents, but person-to-person interviews, giving that collective memory of what Karably looked at as Karably did every 3 major.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful idea. Wonderful idea. I mean, I think also Jacksonville Historical Society may be working on, I don't know, but it's a great idea.
You could operate in a formal setting. I mean, just citizens of our city for 5 minutes.
If anybody knows how to do grants,
No, not to kind of give up a ghost, so to speak, but that's kind of what we're looking at doing for the next round of videos and short films is Steve essentially kind of being, not in an interviewee, but essentially just filming a conversation between him and then whoever our subject is that'll cover that particular subject of the video, having kind of a conversation and then pairing it with whatever relevant visuals would work with that conversation. So that,
It's very, I mean, there's so many
it's a lot.
groups that you connect and that just start before the internet. So people are aware of what we have to offer each other in our wide city as well as out of our city. Because tourists come to Jacksonville, they're looking for things to do that have substance and that can tell them more about our history and our community. And there's no better place for them to go to find out than this. So having MappingJax is a real investment. Thank you.
thank you.
Please don't forget where you are. You're at the Jacksonville Public Library, where you have oral histories, where you have collections, where you have amazing maps like these that the Youngsbacher family gave us. There is a repository in Duval County that holds the historical collections of our city. And some of you know who I am and why I'm closely related to the library. Most of you won't know that. But I'm often amazed at how people, and here we are sitting in the library right now, don't realize what an incredible resource we have right now. And I think I've responded occasionally on MappingJax to people saying, how can I find out about this? And I say, well, why don't you go to the main library to the 4th floor and ask the librarians?
Here, here. This is an amazing resource. I mean, I've had my eyes open quite a bit since the project started. I appreciate the staff and everybody who's touched base and jumped in and helped. And we were on a podcast in the library. I mean, it's been fantastic. This room, I mean, I think one of the things that we want to say too is, I mean, look at this room. I mean, it's gorgeous. It is like world-class, beautiful, amazing room with a world-class collection and lots of resources here. We want to see that all over the city. I mean, we feel like we have a city that has a palette for very sophisticated taste and it's underserved. We see a lot of low quality things happening here, and we want to encourage higher quality of events and research and buildings and everything. To that point, we have a lot of buildings in Jacksonville that are threatened. I think we're kind of coming down on maybe the end of the time, but so we've just put a few of our favorites in here. We're not a preservation organization, but we do want to give some voice to the fact that these buildings are in danger. This is our history that's in danger. And, this one here, the Doro Fixture Company building, is beautiful. I don't know if anyone knows who Wes Anderson is, but it looks like it's out of a Wes Anderson movie. It's incredible. We kind of showed some juxtaposition of other cities and things that they've done with buildings, sort of similar style. This is Ponce City Market in Atlanta. This one actually has 1 million square feet. This is a tiny building compared to that. But similar use was the original intent of the Doro Fixture when they sold that, but now it's slated to be demolished. The landing, that's already gone. I think a lot of people in town are angry about this. I think a lot of people could see the creative solutions that could have come from it, the tax revenue that we could have gotten in a sneeze almost with this. I mean, this is Pike's Place Market in Seattle. It was pretty obvious some of the ideas that you could use the landing for, and we lost the opportunity. This is the old City Hall building, which was my personal favorite building in town, and I had always hoped that we'd have a boutique hotel or some type of residential situation. I mean, it really was perfect for a boutique hotel. This is the Dewberry Hotel in Charleston, and Dewberry actually is doing a project in Jacksonville, the Ortega Place or something like that. So there's an amazing developer. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. This right here is my personal very favorite building in town. It's a good example of Bauhaus architecture. It's a piece of art, and there's a lot of conversations that this is going to go away. It takes up the smallest footprint of the property on that entire campus. And we don't know what to do, honestly. We've talked to a lot of people. We're trying to encourage someone to save it, see the beauty in it, maybe turn that into a hotel or a residence. This is the Museum of Modern Art in Berlin. It has similar style. We find, and when we travel to other cities, we see examples where they've saved buildings that are fantastic and they reuse them for something wonderful, and there's less waste. I mean, at a minimum, it's an environmental nightmare when you tear anything down, and that should be the last option. That's our stance on the tear down of any building.
Yeah, one thing that I had, is this on? Guess it's turned off. Hey, one thing that a good example of Jacksonville preserving the structural integrity of something. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the Metro Lofts, I think on Ashley or Church Street. I was in that building when I was 2-3 years old because my parents worked at Lutheran Social Services that had offices up in there, and they kept the building, they kept everything. If you're in one of those lofts, the original ductwork is going, it's what your ceiling is, and it looks fantastic. So anyone saying that this doesn't work, that the Times Union building couldn't be converted into condos or apartments or something else, a museum, it's BS.
Think about the old library. I congratulated the lady every time I saw him when they were making those decisions back in the 90s. And I think maybe part of it is that we as citizens simply have to send our personal message to the folks who allegedly represent us rather than
Yeah, it's on.
At any rate, poor John, every time he's on me, he said, I suppose you want to talk about the library again. But it was the kind of building with its bins and so forth that was just so likely to be torn down. And lo and behold, the powers that be saw the beauty of it and managed to save it. But it's our job, folks. We're the ones who need to do that.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's an excellent example, and I feel like the voices of the citizens, but also people outside of the city from South America came to Jacksonville to say, "What are you guys thinking about? Why are you doing this?" From another city, from another country. So thank you very much, or anybody who saved that. It's beautiful. Want to go to the next one? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's some other favorites. The Ford plant. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the inside of that, but it's stunning. Original Ford factory sitting underneath the Matthews Bridge. Someone has bought that, and I think it's being redeveloped, but it's kind of unclear what's happening, and we've heard rumors that it's in danger, but we don't know. Old Stanton, gorgeous, probably not in danger, but we've heard also rumors that some of the old schools are going to be demolished. Annie Lytle, it's just unbelievable that has not been redeveloped. I mean, it's one of our most amazing structures in town. It's still intact. Last time I was in there, a week after I was in there, the cafeteria auditorium collapsed. So some of this stuff needs to be taken care of so that no one dies. and we can reuse it. This is the Armory building, which has been sold and turned into an art thing. So I think I don't know for sure, but that was the last I heard. But I don't think it's in danger. I just think it's a good example of something wonderful that could happen. Some more, we hear the JEA building it's on the endangered list. That is stunning. I mean, that's part of our history. It's got a round restaurant on top. I mean, it could be fantastic hotel. I mean, I could see a W Hotel in there or the Aloft Hotel or something, easy. This one, unfortunately, is gone as of today. This building is a mansion in Springfield, which they're actively renovating. And I mean, thank goodness, that is gorgeous. This is also, I believe, endangered and very toxic, and there's all kinds of stories about why that might go away. It's Old Claude Nolan in Springfield.
Which the inside is fantastic. I was in there a few years ago for a photo project, and everything is still, while decrepit, is intact, including the beautiful mosaic tile of the Cadillac logo on the floor. I know we've already done some Q&A, but how are we on time?
I think we're about on time, right? Anyone have any final questions? Comments?
What is Phil's last name? Do you have a website?
I do. My last name is Karably, Karably. It rhymes with terribly. And it's I believe it was up here at the beginning, so I can bounce up. But it's my name, joekarably.com. Oh, no, it's not there.
Here it is.
Where?
Joe Karably. That's how you spell it.
Yeah.
So small. Sorry.
But yep, joekarably.com.
He's amazing.
Thank you.
Anyone?
Way in the back. Okay, I'm coming.
All right.
I'll talk loud.
No, I got you. I'm coming.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey,
Oh, and Cindy helped us quite a bit on the photos.
I'm really sorry I was late. I had a conflicting appointment, but I did want to say a couple things as an advocate for historic communities that are being raised right now. So we've been really good. We've preserved Springfield. We've preserved Riverside and Avondale thanks to the hard work of so many people. But we still have urban communities that are right near where we're sitting right now. Cathedral District has lost most of its historic architecture. We only have less than 50 homes left in downtown Jacksonville that are on the National Historic Register. And they're being torn down as we speak. We just lost 4 beautiful homes on East Duval, and there's 3 shotgun homes left there. Of course, I wanted those pictures up there. But the same thing is happening in other communities. We've lost La Villa, we've lost Brooklyn. We're probably going to lose Oakland and Durkeeville. So I think this impetus to save historic architecture, including residential architecture, has to be a political influence. There has to be political will for our leadership to understand the value of that. And the only way that will change is if our people here and elsewhere get involved in local politics. Make sure who you're electing that you speak up and try to see what's going on at these boards. You may have mentioned this. The Downtown Investment Authority, who has so much power to redevelop and tear down structures. The Jacksonville Preservation Commission. These are appointed positions, and these people have an enormous amount of power. So I think I want to encourage everyone to find out what's going on and get involved and go to these meetings and make your voice heard.
Thank you, Cindy. Cindy led an effort to really gather a lot of photos for this exercise, and so we thank her for her hard work and her love for the historic everything in Jacksonville. Thank you, Cindy. It's inspiring.
Where is the oldest house in Jacksonville, and what can citizens do to stop neighbors tearing down houses in San Marco?
Isn't it the Bear Valley House or something?
Not sure, honestly.
One of the only ones that was left after the fire, Bear Valley House.
I think Springfield is the oldest neighborhood, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. But again, check out the Jacksonville Historical Society, RAP, all the Springfield Preservation, all of them probably know more than we do on the details or facts.
Okay.
Do you know?
No, I'm good.
I don't know what to do about that, honestly, because some of these houses are, like Cindy said, on the historic registry, and then they are all of a sudden being bulldozed. I mean, the firehouse today was 110 years old. It just seems irresponsible, and
in a way, that's what we're trying to figure out. I mean, a lot of this, I mean, my rush to kind of get with him came about, you know, during when the landing teardown was just being discussed, and it was just kind of trying to, I mean, it was kind of a dream to it's like maybe if we raised enough of a stink, somebody would do something about preserving the landing, or at least putting forward a plan. And so in terms of old houses being torn down, I'm 100% with you. I think the more questions are raised by a large group of people, maybe an answer can come through, and maybe a solution can come out of that.
Yeah, again, we're not experts or historians or academics, but we have interest in picking up the voice and helping connect some dots. So if anybody knows anything we can do more, please contact us.
We need a sugar daddy. Honestly, what we really need is a fund of money that can be used in situations like the fire station. That was just unconscionable that it was allowed to go in for such a cheap price. I mean, it wasn't even like they wanted much. And we certainly have deep pockets here in town. And I guess maybe we need a guilt a little bit. Lot J, let's put one of these buildings over there. At any rate, excuse me, sugar daddy. Who do we know is a sugar daddy that we can?
Well, you know the Buffalo. No, the Buffalo Soldier House in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
that's been something that Alex Safakis. If anybody knows who Alex Safakis or JWB Investments or Development, they're doing great work. He's offered to buy that structure. We've had trouble finding who the owner of it is. We think she died, and then it's very complicated, some of these things. And then also we said, what about moving these things along the Emerald Trail or over to Lot J? Is a great idea, but then some of the historical integrity gets ruined when the structure actually gets moved. There's some significance to leaving them where they are, which is complicated. It's very complicated. Anyone have any more comments or questions? Please join #MappingJax and sign up on our website, mappingjax.com. It's kind of slow because we're volunteers, but we're very passionate and interested in making things better. And we just want to encourage everyone just to love Jacksonville and tell your friends and your family to love Jacksonville.
And we're starting production on the next round of videos and short films, probably in February. And I think we may even end up putting out a podcast. And so the more we hear from you guys, I think the more kind of flame it puts under our rears, and we really appreciate the support, truly.
Thank you so much.